Now available in paperback and e-readers, Isis, Samurai Goddess. The goddess next door takes on kung fu killers in this action-packed martial arts Isis series adventure. Get Isis, Samurai Goddess in paperback and e-readers today. I'm this close to walking away from the complete Berlantiverse at this point. Now, when it comes down to the Berlanti and DC television universes, I wanted them to give me a chance with the finale to give me a reason to keep watching. And what I saw in a couple of these Berlantiverse season finales pretty much has me getting ready to put a period at the end of things and stop watching those shows. And one of the shows I'm pretty much getting ready to stop watching altogether is the CW Supergirl. Now, the CW Supergirl pretty much started off the season very strongly with a season premiere that featured Tyler Hoechlin as Superman, and that season premiere pretty much was like a comic book come to life. Unfortunately, as the season progressed, the series pretty much lost its way, and the season finale pretty much showed me how lost this series is. Now, there was a point in the Supergirl season finale where the villain pretty much takes out some silver kryptonite and controls Superman, and Supergirl and Superman have this fight. And as I'm watching this Supergirl-Superman fight, it is one of the most ridiculous things I have ever seen, and especially to see Supergirl beat Superman. And then at the end of the episode, Superman pretty much conceding that Supergirl is just as powerful as he is. When anybody who has watched everything about Superman, from Justice League and Justice League Unlimited, where we see that Superman always holds back, we understand how powerful Superman is. And when I looked at this episode and we have Supergirl saying that, she was taking on Superman at full power, that was ridiculous, because I look at human beings and the proportionate strength, and a Kryptonian would be pretty much the same thing. If a man is 8 times stronger than a woman, then Superman would be 8 times stronger than Supergirl. So that entire finale pretty much emasculated Superman, and that was one of the big issues I had with this Supergirl show. They pretty much went out of their way to pretty much emasculate a lot of the males on this show. You put Black James Olsen in the friend zone and then made him the guardian of the friend zone. And then you had Mon-El, who went from pretty much being a pretty much alpha male, turned into one of the biggest simps in the DC television universe. And on several episodes of Supergirl, especially like the Mixoplit episode, it was like the simp levels on this show went over 9,000. I mean, the simping level was so bad, it was just off the rails. And the other things that pretty much, really frustrated me about this season of Supergirl was all this meandering plots with all this romance, and the way they pretty much shoved in Kara's sister's lesbian relationship with Maggie Sawyer. All that stuff was just pretty much jumbled and awkward, and it took away from what really made the show fun. What made the show fun was it was all about action and adventure, superheroes fighting supervillains, and all of that pretty much got lost in Season 2. And one of the reasons why things got so lost in Season 2 was due to the fact that it seems like the writers of CW Supergirl seem to want to push some sort of feminist SJW narrative in the show. And that's what really made the finale really annoying, because they wanted to emasculate Superman to continue to push the feminist SJW narrative on the show. And this is one of the reasons why I just pretty much had a hard time watching this season, because they really was so jumbled and pretty much directionless, because they kept trying to push an agenda instead of just letting stories flow organically. What made Supergirl great in the first season was it was just good guys and bad guys, and the best episodes, like the Flash episode, was just superheroes taking on supervillains, and the series really needs to get back to that, because if it continues on this point, it's headed toward the road of the Berlanti curse. Now, what is the Berlanti curse? The Berlanti curse is something that happens in these Greg Berlanti shows at the mid-season point, and it happened right in Supergirl as Kara was having her romance with Mon-El. The show just completely falls apart, because this is what happened ever since the Arrow season 2.5, and in every one of these DC TV shows, it seems to fall apart around 2.5. So this is the time to get off Supergirl, and this is where I'm going to get off, because I know season 3 is going to be a complete train wreck. Now, Flash is a show that I loved in season 1, But by season 2.5, it just started to become a headache. And season 3, as a victim of the Berlanti curse, is just as much of a disaster as Arrow season 3. And the reason why it's been a disaster is because all of these timeline storylines they've become repetitive and boring. I mean, every episode of The Flash these days is not about Barry Allen taking on his rogues. It's all about some sort of timeline, some sort of alternate Earth, and that is becoming quite a headache to deal with. And the climax of the Flash season finale was supposed to be Barry taking on this Savitar, but that pretty much fell apart in the 2 episodes before when they revealed who Savitar was. They revealed that Savitar was a future Barry Allen, and that's when I said CW's Flash had pretty much run out of gas, because for that type of plot revelation, that really shows that the writers were running out of stories to tell. And the big problem with the Flash is, ever since the 2nd season, they have been telling the same story as the 1st season, which is another time travel story arc or another alternate universe story arc. And this season, it just got to the point where it just got grating. And then the finale of the season finale was the most ridiculous thing I ever saw. Barry has to go back into the Speed Force, and he just does so, and that was just like, that was a straw that broke the camel's back. No more Fastest Man Alive for me on Tuesday nights. I just can't stand this show anymore because the writing is just that bad. To my surprise, though, the Arrow season 5 finale, that was actually pretty good for some reason. In spite of the bumbling, stumbling Mr. Terrific, the action on the island pretty much built up to a very, very strong climax. It was very well paced, very well done. The writing was very tight, and I wondered, where were these writers for Supergirl and The Flash? Whoever wrote that Arrow season finale, they just need to get a raise, because they did a very good job on that finale, and the conclusion of it pretty much is going to make season 6 very interesting. They did a very good job on the Arrow finale, and while Arrow stumbled towards the mid-season point, they pretty much finished very strong. And this has been one of Arrow's best seasons to date, and I think that they are trying to get it together on that show as it relates to the writing. But as it relates to most of these Berlanti shows, the writing just still is not consistent. And that's one of the big problems with these Berlanti shows, is that the writing isn't consistent. When I look at Supergirl season 2, and the finale there, that was not giving me an incentive to watch season 3. And I look at Flash season 3's finale, that's just giving me a reason just not to watch this show at all. Both of those shows need to go back to basic good guys and bad guys, and with the Flash, they just need a whole new story paradigm altogether. No more alternate universes, no more alternate Earths. Just get back to good guys and bad guys. And with Supergirl, please stop with the feminist narrative. And with Arrow, what they're doing right now seems to be working. And I'd like to see more of Green Arrow and the Outsiders. It looks like that finale is getting ready to build into something very interesting for season 6. But as with these Berlanti shows, I'm pretty much done with 2 of them. But the other one I'm on the fence about, because with that Arrow season 5 finale, it gave you an incentive to really want to tune in for at least the season premiere. As I look at these Berlanti shows, I still am on the fence about a lot of them, but I'm getting this close to being about done with two out of 3 of them. And as I look at them, I really want to see more consistent writing and more consistent storytelling, because I really want to see the DC television universe compete with the Marvel universe and really turn this into the horse race that it should be with movies and television. I really think that there could be a horse race, but it's just all about both of them getting their stories together and getting their story models together to produce entertaining stories on the screen. If you'd like to try some of my SJS Direct titles, you may do so by clicking the link in the description box. And if you like the content on this channel, you may do so by donating $1 or so to my Patreon by clicking the link in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.